In a world where influencers often slap their names on the products for a quick buck, Emma Chamberlain brewed something different, literally. Chamberlain Coffee, her namesake coffee brand, has made itself more than known. Truthfully, it's not something as simple as a fan favorite among Gen Z caffeine addicts, particularly her fans. Actually, it's also become a major disruptor in the beverage industry, now seen in many grocery stores. In actuality, this simple endeavor started as a popular YouTuber's passion for coffee. With expert-level planning and execution in the market though, this so-called trend has now turned into a multi-million-dollar business, basically close to a $20 million valuation. In fact, it's stocked on shelves of national retailers and served in trendy cafes all over the US and beyond. This video is going to take you through the entire journey, from Emma's unique beginnings to her transformation into a bona fide coffee mogul. You'll see that we'll explore how she turned a personal obsession into a global brand, along with her strategies for marketing to a hyper-connected demographic. Of course, it goes without saying that we'll also touch upon the challenges she faced in building a company in a fiercely competitive market. But first, please do subscribe to the channel. Now, you might be surprised to learn that Emma Chamberlain wasn't born into a lot of wealth, or even remotely in the world of business or coffee. If anything, she built her brand from the ground up through casual and relatable content on YouTube. Soon, she became well known in the YouTube fandom in the late 2010s, and it's true that her videos were instantly recognizable with lots of fun editing and brutally honest inner monologues. Pretty much the kind of self-depreciating humor that made her feel more like a best friend than a celebrity. But even in the middle of all that quirky energy and candid storytelling, one thing remained constant in all of her vlogs: coffee. Whether she was making an iced latte at home, sipping from a to-go cup in the car, or stopping at Starbucks during a thrift haul, coffee became the unintentional co-star of her digital life. Sometimes it was a homemade iced latte, others you could spot a Starbucks run mid-vlog. Really, coffee was her constant sidekick, so it didn't take all that long for her fans to pick up on this habit of hers. What's in that cup? It was soon a running question in her comment sections. Of course, Emma, the ever branding savvy Gen Zer, saw this running gag as an opportunity. Thus, in 2019, she launched Chamberlain Coffee. At the time, the idea of an influencer-founded brand wasn't new, but most attempts were short-lived or gimmicky. However, Emma set out to build something different, something that would last. The original version of Chamberlain Coffee looked quite different from what we see today. The early branding featured minimalist brown and white packaging with artsy sketches. Quirky, yes, but lacking cohesion. The product itself was sold in steeped bag form, essentially a single-serve coffee bag, a format that was both innovative and unconventional. Emma was deeply involved in the process from day one. In interviews, she described spending months testing beans, exploring roasts, and even learning about supply chains. She partnered with Bixby Roasting Co., a specialty roaster based in California, to help her deliver ethically sourced and sustainable coffee blends. But the grind didn't stop there. As a first-time founder, Emma faced a steep learning curve in branding, manufacturing, e-commerce logistics, and customer experience, all while juggling a booming YouTube career. She wasn't just the face of the brand, she was its heartbeat. Her personal style, love of clean aesthetics, and obsession with high-quality coffee permeated every inch of Chamberlain Coffee's DNA. When it first came out, back in its early years, Chamberlain Coffee was sold exclusively through its website. This means that it was maintaining a direct-to-consumer, aka DTC model, that created room for better profit margins and naturally direct relationship building with customers. Of course though, DTC has its limits, especially when you're trying to make it in a really competitive coffee market. Recognizing this, Chamberlain Coffee moved over to retail, and not too long after, in 2023, and launched in select Erewhon Store, California's most aesthetically elite grocery chain, and by 2024 it had expanded to national chains like Walmart and Whole Foods. To be honest, the move to retail turned out to be a game changer because it placed the brand alongside established players while retaining its indie vibe. In 2020, Chamberlain Coffee underwent a visual identity transformation that would explain, in part, its current popularity. Gone was the brown minimalist packaging, and in came bright colorful bags with animated animal mascots like the social dog, which was medium roast, and Fancy Mouse, which was espresso. This change was actually not a simple cosmetic redesign. This new change revolved around the Gen Z love for aesthetic packaging that doubles as shelf decor and Instagram story material. It also gave each blend a personality, making the product lineup more approachable for casual coffee drink. The brand voice became fun and vibrant, much like Emma's personality, but also without screaming YouTuber product. As Chamberlain Coffee has grown, the product assortment has evolved beyond its original steeped coffee bags into a well-rounded ecosystem of coffee, tea, and lifestyle offering. The brand now includes whole bean and ground blends, such as Family Blend, Social Dog, and Fancy Mouse Espresso, with bean origins spanning Latin America and other sustainable farms to deliver nuanced flavor notes from chocolate to berry. There's her flagship product range, the Whole Bean and Ground Coffee Collection. You'll find it in multiple roast profiles and flavor notes, from nutty to fruity to chocolatey. In response to rising consumer demand for convenience, the company also launched Chamberlain Coffee's beloved instant sticks, single-serve packets designed for rapid brewing without sacrificing flavor quality. A surprisingly good-tasting instant coffee option for those on the go. Along with that, totally in tune with Gen Z consumers, there are cold brew packs. They're actually easy-to-use sachets designed for cold brewing at home. Finally, you can look at the matcha collection. It's a result of capitalizing on the tea renaissance along with the whole matcha wave. Really, this product added a non-coffee offering that brought her non-coffee audience into the brand's loop. Chamberlain Coffee's matcha line includes ceremonial-grade, organic matcha powers in flavors like vanilla, lavender, and blue butterfly pea, even sold in curated starter kits with branded mason jars and frothers. The brand's well-loved merchandise deserves mention here too, considering its popularity. You'll see everything from branded tumblers and frothers to apparel that sells out quickly. Feedback on these newer products has been mixed. Loyal coffee drinkers frequently praise the original coffee blends and steeped bags for their smooth taste and convenience. However, opinions diverge when it comes to matcha and ready-to-drink items. Multiple Reddit commenters highlight matcha clumping issues, bitterness in some flavored powders, and dissatisfaction with canned beverages, citing watery or sour flavors and low quality relative to price. Even with the critiques, these feedback loops highlight the brand's readiness to innovate and remind customers that Chamberlain Coffee thrives on accommodating both aesthetic and functional expectations in its evolving lineup. Chamberlain Coffee has made product diversification a cornerstone of its strategy, helping the brand reach consumers with varying levels of coffee expertise and differing preferences. Chamberlain Coffee's marketing strategy works in tandem with authenticity and community. It doesn't rely a lot on traditional advertising since Emma has never laid it on thick on the hard sell. Instead, she makes the brand known through her content, like in her morning routine videos or her podcast. Chamberlain Coffee even makes appearances in her collaborations with other influencers and creators. Basically, the brand makes pretty smart use of different social media platforms, especially TikTok and Instagram, bringing in micro-influencers. Fans repost to promote its products. Chamberlain Coffee doesn't yell for attention because its overall aesthetic just invites you into its world. The company has also dipped into working with other brands, partnering with companies like Swoon for a matcha lemonade and Levi for a denim pop-up cafe experience. So these partnerships help out by introducing the brand to new audiences. Not only that, but in 2025, they opened their very own cafe in Los Angeles. Despite its rapid growth and enthusiastic reception, Chamberlain Coffee has faced its fair share of challenges. One of the initial obstacles was product clarity. Early packaging and steep bag formats confused some consumers unfamiliar with specialty coffee, making the brand feel inaccessible to casual drinkers. The 2020 rebrand helped address this, but striking a balance between aesthetic appeal and product education remains a delicate task. Saturation in the coffee market is another major hurdle. There's still legacy giants like Starbucks and Tim Hortons, and a flood of indie competitors all trying to capture the attention of this new wave of adult consumers. Hence, Chamberlain Coffee has the mission to keep on innovating to avoid blending into the background. You can already tell as the brand grows, it also faces the risk of totally diluting the authenticity that initially made it so special. Emma's close association gives the company personality, but this kind of growth inevitably raises questions and eyebrows. Can a founder-led brand maintain its charm when distributed nationwide, even in parts where the founder isn't known or liked? The supply chain side also draws concerns, because even while the brand prides itself on ethical sourcing, maintaining those standards while expanding is undisputably expensive and operationally demanding. Finally, there's the influencer stigma. Even with Emma's genuine involvement, skeptics often dismiss influencer brands as cash grabs performed by every content creator who gets a sizable audience. This is why Chamberlain Coffee has had to earn credibility, not through just storytelling, but by consistently delivering good quality in every cup. What genuinely sets Chamberlain Coffee apart from others is its deep understanding of Gen Z cultural values and consumer behavior. For this generation, a product is, sure, about function, but it is also very much about meaning and identity above all. Basically, the brand goes out of its way to communicate clearly about sourcing and ingredients, prioritizing sustainability, which is why it's appealing to a generation that cares about ethical consumption and wants to know where their purchases come from. Equally important is the way that the brand embraces inclusivity. Whether you're a coffee connoisseur or just figuring out how to brew your first cup, Chamberlain Coffee's voice is approachable and never gatekeeping. Add that to visually compelling identity, complete with colorful packaging, playful animal mascots, and sleek merch, and it becomes clear why this brand thrives on platforms like TikTok and Instagram. The aesthetic feels curated, but never forced. Of course, the road hasn't been all that smooth. There's still a bunch of competition, and her influencer label brings out negative biases. But Chamberlain Coffee has found its passion as being more than coffee, as Emma has made it a whole lifestyle. Emma Chamberlain's continued involvement further strengthens the brand's authenticity. Her casual presence in videos and podcasts, always sipping her own product, gives Chamberlain Coffee a face and a personality. In a digital age where consumers crave connection over corporate polish, this authenticity has made the brand feel more like a lifestyle than a beverage company, reiterating the earlier point. Have you tried Chamberlain's Coffee? What are your thoughts about it? Do share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and see you all in the next episode.